Hey, how's it going, everyone? Brad Smith here with the Relationship Marketing Podcast. Excited to be joined with my friend, Mr. Wayne Hippo. How are you today, Wayne?
I'm great, Brad. Thanks for having me.
Owner of PS Solutions. Thanks for joining me. We get to talk about software and maybe we'll talk about AI today.
Happy to do that. That'll be fun.
So, Wayne, you don't look like a nerd, but you did start a software business. Tell us in the audience, real quick, what made you decide and when to start a software business?
Sure. I'm honestly not a nerd. I'm a recovered attorney. I practiced law for years and worked a lot with companies on employment law and working with staffing. Learned the staffing business and noticed a real void in technology staffing. And it was really a passion of seeing how so many technology jobs were being shipped overseas, and we were losing talent, we were losing the ability, we weren't doing a good job as a nation to build that talent. And so my business partner, Joe Morelli, who's a nerd,
We got one nerd on the
yeah,
team.
yeah, so far, and he had the same passions about it. We've known each other literally all of our lives, and decided, why don't we just do something about it instead of just complaining about it? And so we decided to form PS Solutions 17 years ago, and it's been going strong ever since.
And I like how you mentioned you saw a lot of things going overseas. I really like that about your business, how you have everyone here locally. Talk about that hiring locally in the two cities, three cities you're in.
Yeah, we love saying we've never written a single line of code overseas. We never will. We'll close the company. My background as an attorney, I was practicing in a small town in central Pennsylvania. I'd gone to a national law school, and it used to drive me crazy when people would think, well, if somebody's sitting in Philadelphia, they've got to be smarter, and that made no sense to me. The same thing is true with a lot of skilled talent areas. Software is one of them. There are a lot of people that don't want to be in Silicon Valley. They don't want to be paying high rents in New York or San Francisco. They want their families living in great small communities where they can thrive. And we've learned to take advantage of that talent being out there and being able to bring that talent together and accomplish great things here in the USA. So,
Yeah, and we're doing this podcast from Wilmington, which is where we live. So people like to go move to a town next to the beach.
yeah,
I think we're one of the fastest growing startups with a population under 300,000.
number one ecosystem for startups in the world for cities under 300,000. That's pretty impressive.
That's huge.
Yeah.
People want to move here. Great family. So that's a good job recruiting. How do you actually? You've shared this with me before. How do you recruit this great talent?
We focus first and foremost on passion. We want somebody who loves solving problems, who that is why they get out of bed in the morning, and they love doing it through technology. We hire people who are self-taught. We've hired a number of high school kids who are just geniuses who have learned this. They'll come in all embarrassed saying, hey, here's the code I wrote for my grandmother when I was 12 years old, and it's kind of junk. We don't see it that way. We see that as, wow, this is somebody who's at it, who's been teaching themselves. And so we love opening opportunities for sort of the non-traditional trained folks. They might have gone to a boot camp. Maybe they couldn't afford a four-year college degree. We have an awful lot, and we hire people with four-year degrees. There's no question we have really high-end talented people, but there are an awful lot of folks out there who don't have that same opportunity, and they need to be given a break, and they need to be given a chance to prove themselves. We love doing that. We have a great pipeline of how to find those folks, and we've managed to develop quite an impressive team full of talented people with that kind of focus.
Yeah, and shout out to our friend Albert who referred us. You even hired his son. So it just seems like you have a great team.
There's another one though, highly without plugging Albert. Albert, it's 17-year-old, smart, no formal training, but he's learned a lot, come fast. So he's done a great job for us.
Well, that means you guys probably have a great company to make people want to come work for you like that. Tell me, software is such a broad term, right? What specifically do you guys build?
We build custom business software. When you hear like a software company, everyone thinks we've created a piece of software and we're selling the software. It's not what we do. We work with businesses who have either identified a real need and they can't find software to solve that need, and they need it built from the ground up, or perhaps this happens more than you'd imagine. They created with their buddy in college a little piece of software, and that software turned into a business, and that business has grown, but now the software, is sort of old and rickety and being held together with band-aids and duct tape, and there's no security, and the business is big and relying on it. We'll come in and help those folks rewrite that software to modernize it, to make certain it's secure, that type of thing. So it's a matter of solving one of those types of pain points for folks.
Okay, so and what about when somebody, this is new, we've had this talk a few times. I like how you come and fix their band-aids, right? Would you also help people that now vibe coding is a big thing? I wanted to touch on that with you. Somebody that's tried to build something on their own, but they can't get it past the finish line. Do you guys come in and help with that?
Sure. Whether they're vibe coding and they either can't get it past the finish line, or they have it together, but it's not really properly built. There's not appropriate security. There's potential holes. There's hacking exposure. All sorts of potential problems. Where we come in and professionalize it, maybe for lack of a better word, so that it's if a product is being sold, they're comfortably selling something that's secure and not going to do damage down the road.
Okay.
So that's been a growing opportunity recently too.
Yeah.
And you're also seeing some of those that are taking off and maybe getting investment and getting money, and now all of a sudden maybe they're realizing, the investors are realizing, hey, we moved a little too fast. This thing really wasn't ready. Let's get somebody in here and patch it and fix it. Yeah, that's another thing we love doing.
Okay, that's good. I'm going to ask you for maybe a case study of someone you help. But before then, do you have a favorite project that you've built or worked on that's like a personal favorite of yours?
It's a small one, but we ran into a woman a few years ago who had won some awards for an idea that she had put together. It was her dream to preserve some family heritage, and without getting too deep into the details, she had a pretty clever idea of how to interview older relatives, ask appropriate questions, how to do it electronically, how to do it over the internet, and she'd assembled a little bit of money but couldn't find anyone to do it. We were able to come in, build that initial sort of startup piece of software for her. I don't even know if it'd be fair to call it a version 1, sort of proof of concept. And the thing I loved about that was we were able to take her dream and turn it into reality. And I remember her crying when we showed it to her, saying, I never thought I would see this come to life. So did we make money on it? Not really. It wasn't something that we survive on. But it was a really cool project, helping somebody like see a dream come to reality. That one always, for whatever reason, for all the amazing things we've done over the years, that one stands out in my head. It's a $15,000 project.
Yeah, but still, it's the passion. Because I think I'm sure there's so many people that have great ideas that have never been able to figure out how to get those live, right?
Right. It happens all the time.
I think I have a new one every day. Can't make them all.
Give us a call.
What happens when, all right, I figure out I have this idea or I have this growing business and I want to actually get a professional to come and help me? What's it like working with you guys? What's that process look like?
A lot of our clients come to us because of some sort of pain or problem. As I mentioned, their software has gotten old and it's breaking down and they're very frustrated. Or a great story from several years ago, a company that was thriving and failed to sort of stay on top of the technology. And they had national sales, huge company, but their competitor had come out with some web-based version that was putting them to sleep, essentially. They had sent everything overseas for a rewrite, and the rewrite had failed, and they were out a couple $1 million and had nothing. The reason I'm telling that story is when we stepped in to take over, they didn't trust anybody, and nor should they, right? They had just been burned. And it really helped us learn the importance of staying in touch with the client and communicating and letting them know every step of the way what's going on. That you know you hit roadblocks, you hit hurdles and bumps from time to time. It's best to put those on the table. Say, here's how we got to solve it, and let the client know all along. So it's something we really have been. We learned so much through that project. We had so much to overcome in working with that group. Um, Successfully got it done. It was an amazing story, but the ability to communicate, keep people informed, and let them know what the project's doing and that they're in charge and they're making decisions. So I think the communication factor is really what sets us apart.
Yeah, that's why I tell my team is I'd rather over communicate and bug somebody without before they come and ask.
Yeah, well, and not being afraid to say, "Hey, you got a problem. Something. There's a roadblock here that nobody looked at. How do we want to solve it?" And oftentimes in our industry too, there's sort of the shiny object problem where somebody has a path and they're heading down the path, and all of a sudden they get distracted and maybe want to make a right turn or a left turn to do something else or add something else in, and that's okay. But you've got to communicate to them honestly, saying, you know, time or money, it's gonna take one or the other or both. If you want to do that, it can be done. But you can't just tell people yes and then surprise them with a time delay or a change. Communication is so important and all of that. Good developments and
Well, that leads me to my next question is do you offer some sort of consulting during the project? So if they get shiny object syndrome, or if you see something maybe that's their idea that isn't a good idea, or maybe something that they haven't thought of yet, would you suggest that? How does that work?
it's always pretty sensitive when somebody thinks they know what they want or they know what they need, and they think they know the solution, and our folks are realizing it's not the right path. So there's sort of a delicate process you got to engage in through discovery, through over communication, to bring people to realize, oh, wait a minute, I can still get there, but the route I initially thought I was going to take probably wasn't the smartest one. So it's just another factor in the whole communication panel. Recognizing what the customer wants and needs and making certain we're delivering the smartest, most effective way of getting them there, and checking as many boxes as we can along the way. And if they're wrong, delicately find a way to communicate that, and make certain they're realizing that in the long run, there's sometimes a better path.
Okay, that's really good. How does it work? Do they have to be local, or you just work with anyone all over the U.S.?
All over the U.S. I mean, there's no real local requirement anywhere. I mean, it's been interesting, and sometimes I hate talking about this, but it's one of the benefits of COVID. And you hate saying that out loud, but it used to be back in the day when prior to COVID, we were constantly trying to sell prospective clients on the fact that don't worry, these developers aren't sitting in your studio, they're not sitting in your office, but they're in ours. And a lot there was a lot of reluctance for people to sort of outsource it to folks who weren't under their control and not in their door.
Especially with bigger companies.
Absolutely, absolutely. Everyone has to be here at 8 o'clock and leave at 5, and that mentality doesn't work real well in software development. What COVID did was it showed a lot of things can be done remotely and a lot of things done at home, and so it's really changed our entire industry. When we first came to Wilmington, our plan, our business model up in Pennsylvania was Altoona, smaller town, rural area, 2 hours away from Pittsburgh, which is a tech hub. So we loved Wilmington. Not we didn't come here for the beach. We came here because we were 2 hours away from Research Triangle, and we had a business model of finding local talent in a smaller town who was every bit as good as the folks you're going to find in the center of the tech city, and delivering high quality work. So Wilmington was 2 hours from from Raleigh, RTP, and that's what brought us here to sort of implement that same business model down here. With COVID coming, our goal was to have a big development center in Raleigh by now. It's not necessarily the way the market's playing out over time. People are working from home. People are working remotely. It's a trick. It's a real different task to make certain you still create that sense of team, though, when folks are sitting home. Much harder than it is when they're in the office. And we get better and better at that. So.
Just real quick, you said Research Triangle for people outside of North Carolina. That means Raleigh, Charlotte, Wilmington, right?
No, the Research Triangle was formed by the state of North Carolina 40 years ago now to create a technology center between three major universities up outside of Raleigh, NC State, Chapel Hill, and Duke, I believe. And it's a concentrated area that is devoted to creating technology of a variety of forms, and it's sort of a hub of technology development in the eastern part of the United States.
Well, that's huge.
Highly successful. I mean, North Carolina used to be the poorest state in the union, and RTP has revolutionized technology in North Carolina and brought it forward by leaps and bounds. And it's quite an amazing job center and technology center. We want to be close to that, but use our model of being close enough and far enough away.
Exactly. Wow, that's pretty impressive. That brings me to my next thing. When we first met, I was impressed. You posted on LinkedIn, and like all these people commented, and it just gained a lot of traction on there. You're very active in this community.
I've been active in the community, big believer in community service and giving back. I was very active politically up in Pennsylvania and on boards and commissions. And when I came here, I just continued that in some form or another. Not on the political side, though. That's
More on the business side.
correct.
How does that benefit you and your business that you've seen?
I don't know. I don't know that we do it directly to identify a business. I think what comes from that is more and more, the more people that know your name and who you are and what you do, it helps you stay front of mind with folks. It's a tangential benefit, no question. So it's a matter of name recognition. I believe is probably the biggest, indirect benefit of something like that.
And after getting to know you, you're also doing it to support and help others, which I've noticed as well. You're involved with, I think, some nonprofits and giving back, right?
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Even when I was doing government jobs and elected jobs, I never had a high paying. I think the most
Not getting rich off of that one.
$500 a month, I think, was a salary when I was elected office up in Pennsylvania. No, it's about recognizing problems in your community, and you can either sit at home and complain, or step up and try and do it. And I started that back in the late '80s, early '90s, and did it for over 30 years.
Oh wow. What's share with me another case study. Maybe I'm somebody out there that it doesn't have to be the passion one. Somebody that you really helped.
Certainly. Trying to identify a number, but there's a business that had invested considerable money, and I don't want to get into great details. Let me restart that.
And do me a favor and say a business, kind of start it like a case study or business that we recently helped.
Sure. A business that we recently helped was very frustrated because they had spent an awful lot of money on several software packages. And just to try and summarize that, one was an inventory package, one was a sales package, and there was a third sort of CRM. These three packages weren't talking to each other, and they had invested an awful lot of money in a middleware product, and I won't name the product, but it had a very expensive licensing to the tune of about $250,000 a year. They were paying in licenses.
Wow.
We were able to come in and identify a means of doing integration of these three software products without the middleware, using some Azure tools that we've created. And generate all the reports they needed, get them talking to each other, and saving that $250,000 a year just in what they were otherwise spending in licenses. So that was a really big win. And what we found was the product we put in place was way outperforming their previous results. So their sales were put on the books in less than 2 days when prior everything was 2 weeks. And that's a pretty huge impact on cash flow. So I think that's another key element to what our folks do. One of the issues with software developers, the traditional thought of a software developer is somebody who's heads down and coding and they sit in a dark room and at the keyboard. To work for us, our folks really have to understand business too. They have to be able to talk to the client, they have to talk to the customer, and they have to understand not just the code they're writing, but what the business impact is for that, and what the goals are, and what they should be, and what they're trying to accomplish. They have to be able to read, some financial reports or understand some cash flow sheets, for instance. That makes it even harder to find the right people to work for you. But having somebody with those skill sets and who can communicate and understand business really provides a value add to folks who are struggling, trying to make their business function better. And one of the things about technology is it's supposed to make your life easier. And too often folks have made some investments that it's kind of caused more frustration than it's worth. Love coming in and helping somebody get over those frustrations.
I think that's one of the biggest differences. Anyone can build not anyone, but you can build an amazing software that could potentially help so many people. But if no one knows about it or no one actually wants to use it, what's the point? It's just going to collect dust.
Or if it's not functioning as part of an overall system, and you're just making people print reports here and print reports there and try and meld them together, and they're pulling their hair out. So those sorts of integration projects are great to bring in, and because we love seeing the results of somebody saying, "Wow, this is so much better now."
That's awesome. Okay, you're staying up to date on all the newest changes that are coming into the world. I feel like it changes every day if you log on social media. What's next for PS Solutions? What do you see coming up? What changes are you making?
I think I'm very proud of how our team has handled the onset of AI. We saw it coming years ago, and certainly our industry is going to be dramatically impacted. Already has been dramatically impacted by artificial intelligence and the code writing tools that are emerging. You can take two choices. You can let the wave crash over you, or you can figure out how to ride it. And we've done an awful lot over the past 4 years or so, training our folks to make certain they're in front of it. How can this help us? How can this make us more efficient? How is this going to be something that is a tool that will help us instead of the enemy that will overrun us? And we've stayed out in front of it in terms of making certain our folks can handle tool implementation on AI, but we're writing our own stuff too, and that's been really exciting. We're going to be having a big announcement soon. I probably don't want to talk about it here today, but it's been exciting to see how our team has handled it, how we've gotten up on top of it, and to the point where they've embraced it, and we are using it to make ourselves more efficient, make ourselves better and faster. So AI to us is really exciting. It's not something we're afraid of.
I mean, that's great. You are the founder, you're the visionary, but you're also getting the team excited for it. Because I could see a lot of people not embracing it and getting nervous about it.
Anytime there's change, people don't like change, and I'm sort of a freak in that regard. I thrive on change. I look for it. I see it as an opportunity. And so when you see the big scary monster coming in the room, my reaction tends to be, okay, what do we do to turn this into an advantage? And that's what we've done with artificial intelligence, and we've seen in the past that those who embrace it, those who get in front of it, are going to benefit from it. Hopefully we're in that position. I think we are.
Yeah, I mean, I think we believe the same thing. We're not going and saying how can we replace or get rid of our team. It's how can we teach and train our team to embrace it and make changes to make their life easier, make it better results for the clients.
You see that? I mean, there's going to be that percentage of folks who are, afraid of it and running from it. But it also helps you identify who your stars are in your team, right? The folks who are saying, no, what do we do? How do we jump into this? That really helps you find out, who your leaders are, who your top talent is. It's an opportunity for you to understand even more about your own team once stuff like that emerges.
Well, Wayne, thank you for joining us. We're going
It's
to
been fun.
we'll link your PS Solutions website down below. And so LinkedIn, you're probably going to be posting on LinkedIn a little bit more
Yeah.
coming up in the near future. But I would love to continue hearing your thoughts on, like, when you post on LinkedIn and as you continue growing online. I'd love to just keep hearing your thoughts since you are seeing the future and the vision and the things coming. So looking forward to hearing that.
Thanks. Looking forward to doing it.
Any tips on? I would just want you to share one tip for the audience on. All right, maybe they're not ready to hire you yet, but they have an idea for a software. Is there somewhere that they could start, maybe get proof of concept, and then hire a team like yours?
I think the real key on the proof of concept side is to make certain you're talking to potential customers. That is so important, and making certain you're asking the right questions. There's a tendency in human nature where if I say to Brad, "Hey Brad, I have an idea for this new bread machine," and you listen to me, whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, you're going to say, "Wow, that sounds great! I can't wait to support you," and it tends to create a false sense of security. Learn to ask questions about from potential customers or of potential customers to determine whether you really are onto something, whether there's a real need there, and how they solve those problems now. To see if you're truly solving a problem, or if maybe you got an idea that only really should be left in your head and not pursued. So I think gathering that data is so crucial to knowing for sure whether you're potentially on something. You can do an awful lot of information gathering if you're doing it right without writing a line of code. You can learn a lot and realize mistakes before you make them, and maybe features or whatever that you thought were hugely important aren't. And so an awful lot can be done before you even start down the path of getting the development done.
I might not even like bread, but I'll support you.
Yeah, that's well. There's a great book called The Mom Test. If you, I don't know if you've read it, but about exactly like that. If you say something to your mom about your idea, your mom's always going to say, "Oh, you're the greatest. You're the smartest." And when in fact that's not. It makes you feel good, but it's not real feedback. And I'm not saying not to start. It's so important to start and iterate, but there's a smart way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's vibe coding software. You can even create some sort of form, multiple choice form, or something, and ask friends and family and even social media followers to fill it out.
It's a matter of asking the right questions.
See, that's what I was looking for. Give me more, post more about that, and you'll have a huge following on LinkedIn,
All
more
right,
than you already have.
I'll work on it.
Yeah, we're trying to make Wayne an online social media influencer here with all his knowledge. So,
Okay, it'll be fun.
all right, well, I appreciate you joining me.
Thanks for everything, Brad.
Yep, thanks for everyone for watching. Please go check out Wayne, support his channel. I'll make sure I post his LinkedIn down below and their website if you need any help with your software creation. So, thanks again, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.